Good morning. How you doing? YouTube Live. I'm Dr. Paul. We're gonna go over a healthy mind. I just want to get all this uploaded, and then we'll start because what you guys see first is that I start you guys first, and then I kick it on over to Facebook, and I share it to make sure that everyone can join us who wants to join us. Um, so just be a little bit patient. How you guys doing this morning? I will repeat this again, but this is Dr. Paul. It's long as you guys can catch me on iHeart and iTunes Radio. I have my podcast. I do all the time there. So you can always see me then. And then you can always help me out with some of your questions and comments in the thing below. So as long as we're doing this together, let me post this real quick here. It's nice being first, huh? So let me start live there, live here, and then we'll get going. Welcome to Dr. Paul's Healthy Mind. Every morning I'm going to come to you about this time at 7 a.m. This way it gets everything going, gets everything started. I hope you guys have all found your blessings and your exercises already. That's always important. That helps with the healthy mind, and this way we can get going. So, healthy mind. We were talking yesterday about the healthy mind. And the healthy mind, we were talking more on the rational mind. And this is the last part that we're going to do on the rational mind. And that's because we got to move on to the other parts, which is the wise mind and emotional mind. Now, since I told you we were going to go into the cellular level of the rational mind, some of the part of the cellular level mind, and this is what you call the front, and this is the rear of the head. So I'll be going from this way, okay? Because it's coming from the front of the mind, it actually, so all parts of the body has meridians, and most of the martial artists know that we deal in a lot of body chemistry and the science of how the body functions, and that's how we attack it. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I look at all my cameras. I had someone that told me that you don't look at us. So, so when it comes to the meridians, we have what you call one of the largest, longest meridian that goes over the head, and it goes almost like in 3 lines, and it's the gallbladder. Now, the gallbladder, most people don't know anything about, but it's got secretions, right? And it does some cellular movement in there. But this gallbladder reaches down, and it's down in here next to the, you call that, you got a stomach over there, and then you have the little gallbladder down there. Okay, so this is the stomach. So you can do the research of what the gallbladder does. I'm not going to give you an anatomy class. That's for a whole different time. But we want to know that your gallbladder, it does touch a lot of parts of your body, and that's important. And knowing that once this meridian comes down, then you have the different lines that extends off of, because this is down your spine, right? And then of course you have then the signals coming off the spine and coming down into your gallbladder. The reaction that we are getting, because remember this is part of that sensory perception, right? The sensory part of that brain, and I'm going to write that in here. We have to ask ourselves, when we're going over the rational mind, and there's something you can't figure out, because after yesterday I had gotten some conversations with different dynamics of people, and it's really good because it's feedback of the show. What happens if you're depressed? What happens if you're not doing well, right? What happens if something is you're feeling sad? Because there are deaths happening. Just again this morning, I found out another one of my brothers, martial arts brothers, passed away. Hey Pat, how you doing? Welcome to Healthy Mind. So we're going through death. We're seeing some of our family members and close people that we've known for years that are just passing away, and it's because of this situation, right? Remember, we got to go back to that crisis. You can't forget about that word, because that's what we're in. And if we're in a crisis and the words have power, and we're talking about the rational mind, and remember, this is the last day I'm going over the rational mind. Starting on Monday, I'll go over the wise mind, and the last part after that, I'll go over the emotional mind. So we have 3 levels of education of the mind, and this is part of the cellular level. So once you come down here, and it goes down the meridians and down the spine into the stomach, now we have what you call the different cells start to emanate themselves. So they start to have absorption and secretion, right? And the gallbladder has a secretion to it too. So it affects overburdening and overbearing. Now, if you're in depression, sadness, feeling low, right, about this, and you're reflecting on how this is affecting your life, and it can affect your life, because we know all things affect our life because of the 5 E's. We went over that yesterday. Remember, you have experience, education, environment, expectations, energy. You have those 5 E's that are resulting from history. Remember, the healthy mind is to understand the history of your mind, not to stop your mind or to control your mind. And that's what a lot of rational minds try to do, is that they try to control the situation, like, can I fix it? Can it be solved? Well, this is not solvable, okay? We're not trying to solve this. We are going to live this. If you think of survival, then you're out of the rational mind. If you think of survival, you are done with the rational mind. Because now survival goes into this, as we know, most people know, it's the fight thing, right? Or the flight thing. But if you're sad and you're depressed and it just comes way heavy on you, this is why exercise, meditation, and breathing practice and practicing your stuff is important. And I'll get into that after to talk about this. We as warriors of life have... Now, what do you mean by warrior, Dr. Paul? Well, I'll tell you what I mean. Warrior is an obligation. It's an obligation. And that obligation is, it's important because we are responsible for lives that are unprotected. Yes. Well, who designates who is a warrior, right? Well, that's a decision you have to make. Because a warrior is just not just a mindset. There's training, there's practicing, and then there's faith. There's more. Training, practicing, faith. And there's more to that. When you're a warrior, not only do you take this code to yourself, to the universe, to all things living, to protect all things living through no matter what destruction. And that's what we've been doing for thousands of years. And these codes have been passed on down through different types of teaching. Some of us put it all in our teaching, and most of you people know who I'm talking to because we do put it in our teaching. We try to teach our students from this level to that level. We don't just encourage, we make sure that we don't just encourage the student to live in a healthy way. We take you through all of the ways of metaphysics, all the ways of the emotional living, all the ways through spiritual living, all the ways through the physical life. Because this is what we're in. It's just a vessel. And we know that. If you don't know that, then you're fighting powers that are trying to destroy your mind. And that's what the healthy mind is. The healthy mind, I want you to understand, is to free your mind. What they're trying to box you in and control you, they can have it. You know, the monetary issue, the mortgages. Things are starting to go, and it will go into a crunch where if you start working on the healthy mind just a little bit late, they're going to have some sense of power over you. Yeah, power over you. And this power over system, so let me get into, so when we get into the power over system, so when we get into cells, and then we have atoms, we have the nuclei, and I'm not going to get into all that, but this vibrates. The cells vibrate, and when they vibrate, they send out signals. And now when you come down into the cellular part of the body, and this is going to be equal for the wise mind and the emotional mind. But when you get down to the cell level, we're talking about vibrating healthiness. Vibrating health. And that, so when you start to build constructs, and I hope you guys got this because I want to use the board again. So when you get into constructs is your mind, right? Not the brain, the mind. And constructs are walls. And those walls are built by, society. These little walls are built by society that you allow. You allow these walls to be developed by which you believe that you should be, that what you think that you are, what you need to be, what you think you have to be. These walls are developed constructs. We've seen the movie The Matrix. We've heard of the movie The Matrix. And these walls is that matrix that you've put yourself in. The healthy mind, the rational mind, can, not just can, but when trained, practice, and have faith, you remove the walls. You remove them. And that's important, because that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to remove the walls. We're going to remove the walls. Yeah, I have a Harry Potter wand. Well, this is my wand. And you could do your own little magic. But really, it's to remove the walls. It takes some practice. It takes some training. And it takes some faith. I hope this helps. It has helped me. I know it does. Again, I don't like to take up too much of your time. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. I actually don't know what my time limit is at right now. I don't like to be too long. So if you have any questions, oh, I see I have a question here. So what happens, can you get over depression? Absolutely. And thanks for the question here. If you want to get over depression, and that comes back to the historical issue of how your depression was developed. If your depression was developed and this is triggering it, or the death is triggering it, or lack of money is triggering it, or lack of confidence, or lack of whatever is triggering the depression or sadness or the intake, latch onto that. Latch onto that like a fish. And then follow that back to its watering hole. There's a line back there. And it has probably to do with vulnerability. And I know when we feel like we're vulnerable, a lot of the times that we feel very weak. And vulnerability isn't weakness. Those words, remember, it goes back to the constructs. Those words were developed or given to you. And that's why those 5 E's are so important. And one of those E's is, actually I'll put down 2. Out of the 5 E's is education and environment. Something was taught to you, something was delivered to you to let you know that weakness is not good, and something in your environment told you that weakness isn't good, because then that goes back to the oldest part of our brain of survival, right? And if we want to stay in the frontal lobe of living, the rational mind, and keep that mind living, then we're going to allow our constructs to come down, and to understand that that was just something that someone else taught you. We're trying to develop what you are doing. Remember, a healthy mind is something that you develop, not something you just learned how to live with. That's not a healthy mind. That's different. That's a survival mind. You know, it's kind of like, what do I mean? Okay, so if I lose my arm, I learn how to live with one arm. I learn how to live with one arm. Or I can survive with one arm. Which of the words? Yes, words have power. And so if you're learning how to live, that means you're developing a new living regime with one arm. But if you're learning how to survive, that means you still believe that 2 arms is better than 1. Okay? That's the difference. And so all things, and this is how I believe it, all things, if it doesn't go across the board, it doesn't work. Okay? So learning how to live, living is a development you do. Okay? Living is a development you practice, you develop, you understand, you grab hold to. Okay? So that is living. That's the healthy mind. That's the rational mind. I'd like to thank you all for joining me on Healthy Mind. I'm Dr. Paul. Remember, you can always listen to some of my podcasts on iHeart and iTunes Radio, or you can email me or go to my website at drpaulholisticscience.com. I just had a new book coming out, emotional reaction training manual, and I've done it on the heart, and I'll be doing it on other books. And then I have another book just recently coming out too. It's called Out of the Shadows and Into the Black. Okay, so I will see you guys in tomorrow, and then we can have like more of a free-for-all talk. Maybe go over the whole concept of the rational mind and really bottle this things up. And then next week we'll go over the wise mind. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Be blessed, be safe, practice, train, and move forward, right? Dissolve those constructs. Those are important. When we dissolve those constructs, we live just a better life together, individually, together, and globally. Okay? God bless. How do I get this down here? Yeah. Finish there.